And it sounds like um, Nextflow, like NF Core, is like a relatively larger project as far as open source projects go. And I know for Python, like the Python language, at a certain point, for a while they were doing a lot of like language work at PyCon, like the big flagship conference. And at a certain point, they were like, actually, let's just make it a separate thing because the conference itself becomes so much that having a sort of separate space to just where you're just focused on talking through technical things or like um, working through whatever issues or conflicts. And again, when I use conflict, I don't necessarily mean like drama of people shouting at each other, just like when people have two different needs and they have to work out how to get those needs met. Um, so yeah, I think this may be like a life cycle going on because I think for smaller projects, it's actually common. And I asked a question about this, which was like, I think for many projects, you start out co-locating at someone else's conference. You're like, oh, we're all going to be at PyCon. We're all going to be at this like scientific conference. Why don't we, during the existing hackathon or sprint, or maybe come a day before and just meet up? And then as projects get bigger, they start doing their own thing. And then projects might get so bigger that their own thing is actually not the best space for them to get work done. And it's more a space for like the community as a whole. So it's like the life cycle of projects as they get bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the moment we are still like very tied to Nextflow. Like the ties between like Nextflow and Fcore like are pretty like strong. Like a lot of like obviously, but yes. So I think at the moment we are still like pretty tied to that. But I think years ago we were doing the training like at NF Core. Nowadays the training is handled like by Sekera, so that's one less thing that we are doing. But definitely what we're doing that is distributed, that is like completely disconnected from like anything like from the main Nextflow conference are the distributed hackathon. We still have local hackathon that are like tied into the conferences where we just have a smaller group of people focused. But when we do our global distributed hackathon, we try to get a local group to self-organize and to have hackathon. So I think we are getting towards that direction. And definitely, I agree. Like it's such like it's what happened in the life cycle of such a large project.